day after the last video was filmed when I suddenly decided to take that engine out, and then Thomas was like, oh, you know what, you could rebuild those parts with the metal from over yonder. And yeah, now I'm doing it. This has been probably the first 30 minutes or so. It's pretty easy. Wow, that's took me, I don't know, hour and a half maybe? Probably less than that, because I keep stopping to, well, look at shit on my phone, answer the inane fucking comments already from the last video where people are already going, you know, oh my god, I can't believe you're taking out the V6 and all this bollocks. Yeah, in this hour and a half or so, yeah, the subframe is back as one, stronger than standard for sure, because there's a few places where I added some seam welds because I didn't really like the look of how it is. I mean, to be honest, there's a lot of places that I still don't think these subframes are particularly strong, but whatever, I don't care. It was literally places nearby where I was doing the welding for that. I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna add a bit more there because it looked a bit iffy. You know, if I was building a race car, I would go over this whole chassis and seam weld in various places, because, you know, there's a lot. You could stiffen these up loads, and most race cars are done like that, but this car would have to genuinely escalate to a track car to do that. And anyone that knows me knows that I find circuit stuff pretty fucking boring. I'd love to do rally stuff, but what this would be legal in rallying in the UK is basically nothing, and it's also an expensive game that I can't afford. But circuit stuff bores the fuck out of me, to be fair. So yeah, you'd never see me do time attack or nothing. You know, I think I've said it before, but like, the amount of times when I've been out on track and before even a 20-minute session is up, I've had enough and gone in already, because it's like, I'm fucking bored now. Even when I went to the Nürburgring, it was like, yeah, great. Even with like a professional driver going around there in like fucking mid-8s in a car that only had like fucking, wow, 220 brake and 1300 kilos, so not fast. And we was doing it mid-8s because he was fucking fast, real fast. And it was like, yeah, it was fast, but didn't care. It was fast enough. I actually felt a bit sick by the end of it, but I wasn't like excited. I was just a bit like, yeah, I feel a bit sick now. Can we hurry up and finish this fucking lap? So I can't imagine me ever needing to seam weld this, because I'm never gonna be some fucking track car dickhead. Anyway, yeah, that is now all welded all the way around. Fucking a lot more. It's a wanker welding upside down, so like underneath I fucking hated doing it, but it's done. I got inside the engine bay to do the back. There was actually a bit on the back here where I've added a metal sort of 2 inches by 1 inch rectangle of that stainless, because although there wasn't a hole, really didn't like the look of the metal there. I mean, this metal, this subframe, they're made of fucking fuck all. The brand new subframe this had, yeah, it looked pretty, but just looking at it, it's like, fucking hell, this thing's gonna start rusting again in 5 minutes. It's just, you know, and it was all painted, you know, genuine Toyota shit. But yeah, so the bit on the back I did just because, and in reality, you know, you could genuinely beef up these subframes by either seam welding loads of shit, or even adding strengthening plates on a lot of these the joins. But no need for this. I literally did that one on the back just because I thought, well, one day that might be an MOT fail and I can't be dealing with that. So prevention is better than cure. So yeah, that's all done. Obviously, when it's all done, I'll probably seam seal all of this shit, because if you, again, you look at this one, when it comes from Toyota all painted, where it looked like it was already starting to rust was on these seams, because they're not sealed up, they're just painted and then if any moisture gets in, then fucking hell. So I reckon when this is done, like done, I mean this is done welding, but with 180s it's got 4 mounts, one either side, one front, one back. Well actually the one ZZ has from the factory, I think. Yeah, it has, yeah. So this one I will need to weld the front mount in place, or at least weld the mounting position for the front mount in place. So there's no point in me painting it yet, but when I do, I reckon I'll seam seal all the fucking seams on this so it doesn't go rusty, because, or not rusty easily, and then obviously paint it. But either way, it's done. Top was pretty easy, front was pretty easy, underneath was a wanker. Sponsored by Wankers, copyright Thomas. Back was super easy, I just did it from inside the engine bay. So yeah, you can certainly jack the car up off that and fucking everything off that now. So now this bit, again, it's going to be exactly the same process. It's going to be that bar again. So I will cut it to approximately the right size, a bit too big. Then probably cut another little bit off because I've made it, you know, to get it closer but still too big. And then after that, it'd be a case of shaving these down, because you can see I literally did this rough as fuck. Shaving these down until it fitted, and then get busy with a welder again. This one I did it so rough, I might actually start before I even cut the, you know, cut the box section out, by just by eye getting these a bit more even, because that one especially I can see from here is on the piss. That was not too bad. That looks fairly straight for me. It's not quite, it definitely goes in a bit at the top, but that one goes much further in at the top, because all I was doing at the time was cutting it to make room for the engine. I wasn't planning, you know, there was no final process there. Well, that was going really well until the gas ran out on the welder. I was flying through this, you know, what you see here probably took me 10 minutes maybe of trimming the metal down to get it straight, you know, either side where I've cut it, to fit the new panel, the new bit of box section. And then, yeah, probably 5-10 minutes welding it so far. And it's easier than this one, I think, probably because it's just stronger, less rusty, I don't know. But either, or maybe it's just because I was doing it more. Either way, I was flying through it, and then suddenly the welds on that side started looking proper. I mean, I don't do pretty welding, I do strong welding, but those welds started looking proper shit, like pigeon shit. And that's generally a sign that you ain't got no gas. And lo and behold, it's run out of gas. So I'm now gonna quit for tonight. I really, honestly, I would have finished this tonight easily, you know, without even being too late. I'm not tired, so I'd have flown through it and got it all done. But you know, to be honest, the pressure on the regulator has been showing, well, not even on the gauge for a long time. So I kind of knew it was near enough empty. But near enough empty and empty is two different things. It's like on your fuel gauge on your car, you know, a lot of cars you can drive fucking 50 miles on what shows as 0. So yeah, much the same with the welder. So I thought, fuck it, I'll carry on and on and on until it's out, because it's never run out with me. And for the first time in all my using it, it ran out on me. So tomorrow morning I'm going to take it to get filled up. The amount of gas I've used on that thing over time, and I've never had to pay to fill it up as yet. I think it's only right that I pay for this bottle anyway, so fuck it. It's probably good timing. After running out of welding gas the other night, I got some now, and pretty much finished welding it in. You know, I think now there's no real more strength to add in any more welding. I'm just gonna probably add a bit more to tidy it up, but I'm not gonna add any more until probably I got the cage in, because there's no point. But it's strong as fuck. The only reason I'm not gonna add any more yet as well is because I haven't decided yet about how much I'm cutting out of, you know, the bulkhead and stuff, and where I'm gonna put the false firewall and that kind of shit. So it's gonna depend on that, you know, where any extra welding's gonna be. But it's for all intents and purposes, it's done. Both there and there. It's, I would say pretty much certainly it's way stronger than standard. What I removed there and there was not strong, and this shit really is. So no worries there. In other news, I spent about, I don't know, 20 minutes just then playing about with this sacrificial scrap, whatever you want to call it, BAM head, to see about the combustion chambers. Basically add a bit more of a play, you know, I'd try on all four, removing the squish pad, so I had a bit of practice for when I do that NA head, which is over there somewhere. And yeah, there's no big deal. I mean, I didn't even, what I would normally do, I'd get an old head gasket and draw around each combustion chamber, so I knew exactly where the edge was and all that to do it right. But for this, I was just making sure I could get to everything without, you know, risking damaging anything or anything like that. And to be honest, it's no problem. Because sometimes it's harder than others, depending on the head, to not touch the valves or even the valve seats if you've got the valves out. But on this, it's very easy. So nothing to worry about there. I'm not going to the extremes. I mean, if you wanted to, and I don't think I will, you could, on the inlet valves, there's no need, it goes low enough anyway. But on the exhaust valves, you could remove them and get rid of more of this lip, which should de-shroud them more, which would flow better. But I'm not going to be at the limit of head flow anyway, I wouldn't say. You know, it's not a big deal. I'm not really doing it for that reason. So yeah, that's it really for that. Not entirely sure what I'm going to do next. I'm sort of doing many different things bit by bit, because all needs fucking doing. So there's no real method to my madness at the moment. I'm just doing bits and bits. So just so I can have another clear out, I've decided my next job is to dismantle the last two engines that I got. This, I think, I'm pretty certain, in fact, is the original one out of the 18T, which, like a dickhead, we starved of oil. Yeah, heads off, not much to report, all looks normal so far. I'll take the cam caps off in a bit, see if they're scored, see if that head's still good. Pistons just look like pistons, nothing much, pretty grotty. It has been serviced at some point in its life, because that's a metal impelled water pump, not the standard one. So it's quite fresh actually. Might even reuse it if I'm feeling particularly cheap. Don't know. So now I'm going to flip it up and take a look what's dead underneath, see if anything's worth keeping. Well, pistons out, they look alright, they're just normal 180 brake ones, you know, 19mm wrist pin, perfectly good. Crank is, it's got a few scratches on the mains, nothing, only light, the big end's absolutely fine. But even the block's no good to me now, because I seem to have, once upon a time, when I first inspected this, taken the one of the main caps off and don't know where it is. And without the right main cap, the block is effectively fucking scrap, unless you really cared about machining a different one, you know, getting it fucking line board and all that bollocks. But it's a 180, it don't matter, you just buy a whole new one. So I'm going to chuck this engine away well, this bottom end away as it is. I'm going to take the cam caps off now and have a look, see what the crack is with them. But this can go in the bin. Cam caps off, and initially it didn't look good. There's a big old scratch on the cam, on the inlet cam just there. But weirdly, the cam cap is fine and everything else is fine. So the head's usable. I keep it as a spare. I'm even going to keep the exhaust cam because it's fine, but the inlet cam can go in the bin. So I guess that's the difference between the BAM head, which blew up on track, so was having a kick in, and this one, which just had all the starvation at basically idle. It wasn't driven at all. So yeah, fairly lucky with that one. So at least I've got a head. So now the final engine, I guess. I hope this one's good, because I want to just chuck some rods in this and send it. Well, this was unexpected. The engine that I presumed would be the good one, well, not good, but perfectly fine, the one that I could literally whack some rods in it and send it in this car, just a basic engine, is actually the most fucked. Well, I don't know about the most fucked. It might have perfectly good bearings and all that. I got the impression when I bought it off a friend, that it was a runner, and it probably was by the looks of it, but it wasn't going to fucking run for long because it has been detting its tits off. Looks like a fucking hand grenade's gone off in all the cylinders and all the combustion chambers. It was grubbier than this. I've literally quickly cleaned it up so I can show you better on camera. But as ever, like I've said a lot of times before, the first place that det happens on a combustion chamber is the squish pads, and it shows on here again. The actual valves and everything, there's no signs of det. There is actually the odd sign of det around the spark plugs on some of it, but it's mostly, almost totally, on the squish pads, especially the exhaust side. But most of all, the pistons. None of them look melted. I know for sure once I pull them out if like the ringland started to collapse or anything. But either way, they was not gonna live for much longer. It had some kind of fucking typical fucking 50 quid flash mapper dickhead pretending he's a tuner put a map on this, I'm guessing. Or maybe not even that, maybe it was a fucking put a bleed valve on it and say a prayer, I don't know. But whatever it was doing, it was running fucking way too lean. And the fact that it's got one different spark plug there to the rest says to me it probably at some point, first of all, melted a spark plug, so they changed it and just carried on. But yeah, all the spark plugs are in one piece. But yeah, the fucking pistons, if anything, that kind of shows the strength of 180T pistons, because these are fucking detted like, wow, unbelievable. I haven't seen many pistons with that much det that has not fucking just completely died. I think this is why they say standard 180T pistons are good for 600 brake, because this is some bad det and they're normally fucked. But it hadn't blown the head gasket. The head gasket was good. And again, they always say with these, the standard head gasket, because an MLS one, it can take fucking any power. But yeah, if anything, this shows how strong these bastards are, because that det is bad, and so is, you know, bad on the head, it's real bad on the pistons, but there's no sign of it actually melting. It's just fucking caned it. So yeah, this head, presuming there's no bearing problem, because I will remove these squish pads anyway on any engine I do, because, well, They're the first things that det on a turbo engine. These are usable for me, so I can use this head. These pistons, no, I am not fucking using. They're quite impressive. They've held up to this shit, but no. So now I'm gonna have to flip the cunt over and hope and pray. Well, not hope and pray, because whatever, it's a fucking 118, no big deal. But it'd be nice if the bearings and all that are good, so I can reuse the crank and the block. Because I'm throwing away that block. I've thrown away 2 other blocks already. I have got 1, 2, I think I've got 3 blocks over there. Good. But more the merrier. I think I've only got 2 good blocks over there. But a number 3 would be nice, because I need 1 for this car, 1 for the silver car, and you know, it'd be good to have another one, rather than, I mean, it's no big deal, 180s are everywhere, I can buy another one for a fucking £100, but, you know, I still would rather have, I would still rather have good stuff, so, save me buying anything else. So, yeah, I guess the next thing is to turn the engine upside down and whack these pistons and rods out. But yeah, if you ever wondered why I removed the squish pads, and if you ever wondered what det looks like, it kind of looks like somebody's thrown a fucking hand grenade in your cylinders. I've had well, one hilarious one with the Renault 5 Turbo dickheads once, where their god tuner, I'm not going to name names because a lot of people wank him off in more than just Renault 5 world, but anyway, he did my friend's car, super fucking ridiculously lean, and it blew up literally within a couple of days. And we took the head off, and it looked like a hand grenade had gone off in there. But his had done I think it had done a piston as well. The Renault 5 people were literally defending him with all their might, going, "Oh, that's foreign object damage. Something's gone into the cylinders and caused that." Because they obviously don't know what fucking det looks like. Yeah, it does look like something's gone into the cylinders. That's just what it looks like. It looks like something's rattled around, but it's not. Because, well, for a start, if stuff was rattling around, you would have it all in the cylinders for a start, and they're perfect because the det only happens realistically at pretty much top dead center. And again, same as on the combustion chambers. People saying, "Oh, foreign object damage must be like mentally retarded," because why would the damage only be on the squish pads and not all over the valves and stuff? It's because it's not fucking foreign object damage, it's det. That's what det looks like, you know. But tuners, to be fair to this tuner, he actually PM'd me and goes, "I know it's not foreign object damage. I'm not claiming it is. That's just my, his loyal fans saying it was, but he knew it wasn't." Just carry on with the archaeology of this detted to fuck engine. And I think this is why you should never buy modified cars off people, or modified engines, because this had clearly had some mods, because it had some fucking shitty reflective gold tape on it. But the block is broken in a couple of places where they've obviously used an impact gun, a powerful one, and impacted the fuck of the sump bolts to do up the sump to the block, and actually broke bits of the block off in a couple of places where they hammered it in so hard. And also trying to get all those bolts out, the ones that were actually broke the block weren't too bad. There was other ones that took an incredible amount of force to get out. It was rounding the nuts. Some of them were already rounded off where they'd been hammered in so fucking hard with an impact gun. Luckily they've got Allen head hole in the middle, and even that wasn't working, but I found some ones that were a bit too big and fucking hammered them in, and I just about got them undone with that. So straight away, as like the sumps came off, and somebody who's fucking clueless idiots put it back on. Looking in here, it is super clean. So this sump has been off, or it's at least a new sump, very recently. I mean, that is, of all the engines, that's by far the cleanest sump. I would say for sure the same idiots that had the sump off has had this windage tray off, because this one here is rounded off on the 10mm, and it's that tight that I can't even undo it with an Allen key. It's starting to round on the inside. So I wonder why. I don't know if this has been off. I'm going to see if these come off easy. The water, you know, the oil pump might have stayed on. The strainer wasn't particularly dirty, so maybe they cleaned the strainer out when they did it, but I'm wondering why they took this off. Well, that's fairly interesting. No matter what, I could not get off that bolt, so I just snapped off the windage tray for now and go in the bin, just so I could access everything. Got the pistons and rods out. Yeah, maybe it's a testament to how good these pistons are. But despite all this debt, there's absolutely no damage to the ring lands at all. All the rings move freely, none of them's been pinched. There's no damage, you know. It only damaged the top. But still, I ain't reusing them. No, they can go in the bin. And obviously, stock rods can definitely go in the bin. Bearings, they didn't look brand new, or maybe they are, I don't know. But they were in perfectly good condition. But the crank looks perfect, and weirdly the main bearings I just took off. I haven't took them all off because without undoing that bolt I can't take the pump off, and that one's also awkward to do without undoing more bits and pieces. I took off 2, 3 and 4 main cap, and the bearings genuinely look brand new, like not even the first, because obviously they're copper, but they're coated, and they're usually coated, it's kind of 2 layers of grey, you can imagine. So you'll have like the top layer, and then they'll wear a bit more and you can see a different colour, and then when they're fucked you would see copper. On this, they're a uniform colour, they look brand fucking new. So I reckon the sump's been off because, wow, maybe they thought the debt was knocking, so they changed the bearings, because, or maybe the bearings were like worn and knocking, but whatever it did, it hasn't damaged the crank. The crank looks perfect, but they've definitely put new bearings in it. So yeah, fuck knows. So it's a bodge, and it's a fucking badly tuned bodge, but some of it, the crank, maybe with the main bearings as is, I'll have to at least get a plaster gauge on it and double check they're as right as they seem. But you know, it could be worse. Another thing about this debted to fuck engine is, whether you can see or not with this light, probably not, but all 4 cylinders have still got noticeable cross hatching on them. So whether it was rebuilt recently, or maybe it's just not done that many miles, apart from badly fucking tuned in the miles it has done, but it's still got cross hatching on the balls, so it's relatively fresh. Well, you know, very fresh really, because most of the others haven't. I think the only one out of all these engines with notable cross hatching still was the NA block, and that's no good to me anyway because it's a different block. So yeah, weird. Literally the worst put together, the only one that was badly tuned, but it's got some of the best bits for a few bits. Anyway, hope you liked all this shit, and this is probably the end of this video because the last one was mega long, so I don't think this should be so stupidly long. And see you shortly.